I'm Devin Karter.
I'm Davey from Davey Productions.
I'm Delly Rollavelli. I'm a rap producer. Love.
What do you feel your role as a producer is?
I would say probably the role of a producer is just to be able to create a mood, right? So music is all about emotions and it's all about feelings. So it's being able to create that. I mean, you have some people who have different perspectives that as a producer, you should be able to literally produce music from making it, from mixing it to whatever it is. So for the most part for me, it's just being able to create the mood of whatever the artist wants to portray.
Wow, you're talking about mood and setting like the tone for stuff. How would you guys describe your like producing style?
I'm personally a little bit different. So I've got a main EDM background, which is electronic dance music, and but I still work with hip hop artists and rappers and things like that. But I would say mine is more ambient, beautiful, peaceful. Lo-fi hip hop is something that I've kind of dived into a little bit.
That's
So I really like those kind of chill, sentimental, emotional.
I would say for me, mine is heavily like R&B based. So for me, being like classically trained on instruments, that kind of influences as well. But for the most part, it's kind of 90s R&B, 80s, love using like finding those kind of samples. So that's more so because I'm always trying to get in that, I keep talking about that mood, that feeling. So it's more so that.
Okay.
That's crazy because like my style is literally meshing both of y'all styles.
Oh, that's dope.
together because like I also rap. I've been rapping since I was 7 years old. And the reason why I got into producing was because I got really tired of getting on YouTube and finding YouTube beats. I'm like, yo, this gotta end,
That's
man.
real.
I believe my styles would actually be both of their styles, R&B and lo-fi, meshed together, except with a little bit of trap music.
So what do you feel like is your responsibilities versus the artist's responsibilities when it comes to creating?
Our responsibility as the producer is what was said earlier was, helping set the tone, helping the environment. Also the artist, they could also help set that tone. Like, hey man, this is the type of vibe I'm going for. Or, if you guys are both together in the same studio, you're going through beats and stuff like that, and you find the right one, and then, in my case, when I start making my beats, all my beats start off as loops. It's like 8-bar loops. So, like, the artist will hear it, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, finish that one. You feel me? Or add a little bit to this, that, and then it's done. Just stretch it out for me, and it's done.
I mean, I definitely think kind of depends on if you're looking for an artist. So I do a lot of EDM, like I was saying, so usually I'm looking for vocalists to come onto my track and to help me out and pay them and do that. But if you're producing for someone else and there's a rapper that wants a beat or something, you're usually letting them take the lead, say, what's your vibe? Give them 8 to 10 different options and say, do you like any of these? They like it and they say, oh, I want the kick to hit harder, I want, more ambient piano or something. Then go from there. So definitely two different.
That also like always helps out when the artist knows like what type of vibe they're going for, or if they feed off of your vibe.
I feel like as a producer on a personal level, a lot of times, especially if you're sought after, it is now your job to not almost conform to what the artist wants, but you want to put you on it because they came to you for a reason. So you have to be able to put you in something, but to where they feel comfortable, to where it's also them as well.
I think when you guys talk about this, I kind of think about how vulnerable it is to create these beats, and especially when you're just starting out. How did you guys build like thick skin? Do you still kind of get offended when people like, let's say you make this beat, like this is the hottest thing I ever made, and somebody like, like how do you guys build tough skin for that?
I feel like you should always have an open mind.
Okay.
Like with on both sides of the spectrum, as an artist first and the producer, you have to always have an open mind. With being open-minded, that also helps thick skin, because it's like, what, this person could be right. Maybe I could add this. And if you try it and it sounds good, it's like, what? Man, this hit. Versus actually being like, man, nah, that's whack. I ain't gonna do that. And then doing it later. And then being like, oh man, I should have listened to this person.
Yeah, definitely agree with being open to criticism.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was starting out and everything I was producing was obviously garbage. It's how you start. I would always go to people and I'd be so proud of like the progress that I made from the last track that I made, and I'd be like, listen how awesome it is. But then you compare it next to a professional radio track, and nobody's gonna say like, hey, this is the absolute best unless they're trying to be nice to you. So definitely, like, I was definitely afraid to play my music because of that. And then the more I did it, the more I just got over that fear and said, this is me, especially when I started making good tracks. It became more of a just, this is me. You may like it, you may not like it. I'm going to be open to the criticism, and adjust from there, but I'm not going to be disappointed if you don't like it. So,
do you guys feel like producers are given enough credit?
Well, I can say this, from even back from when hip hop was like starting, right? Really, the DJ, who was basically the producer, was the more important than the artist. The artists, they didn't really care about the artist so much. So even going back from the Jay-Z's, the Rakims, to all of those, when they got more lyrical, I think the artists start to take over just a little bit more. But I think the producers are getting their fair share, because there's a lot of producers who are just really big and known by names for just doing what they do, like Metro Boomin, like Mike Will made it. Like people know these people's names, and like really all they do is make beats. So I think more and more is growing. It's getting back to where it used to be, I think.
Yeah. It's yes and no. It's not really enough credit that goes into the producer actually spending hours on making a beat, for said artist. Or with even the artist being there, I've worked with some pretty ungrateful artists, and it's like working with the artist actually knows what they're looking for versus somebody that expects you to make their song for them. They just go in there with some lyrics, or they freestyle some stuff, and they're like, throw some auto-tune on it and make it sound good.
Make me sound like.
Hey, I done heard that so many times though. That's like, crazy.
What? Like, what am I supposed to do here? It's like, bro, I got you, but next time, write your song. Next time, come a little more prepared, bro, because I'm gonna tell you if this is garbage or not. Because I want you to win. Ain't nobody else gonna tell you the song is bad. But if you're coming in here with this, this type of negative energy, and having this super high expectation for me to just make your song for you, I might as well rap it for you, bro.
And that kind of goes to what you said earlier, or one of you guys said about the responsibility is also, it's important for artists to come in and, set stuff up too. Like, not just depend on y'all to set the mood and have everything together and just come in with the freestyle or their stuff, but they need to be a little more prepared too.
They have to.
Wow, I'm learning so much.
The producer game, like, it's cool and all, because it's great to always be behind the scenes and like not be up in people's faces all the time, but like the bad stuff that happens behind it all, like countless days where you don't sleep, or if you're really working on something you feel very passionate about, you're getting off your 9 to 5 to go clock back in from a 5 to 5.
What?
True. Like it's a lot of hard work that goes behind it on the producer side, and they don't really give us enough credit for that.
Give producers their credit, people.
Pay that man.
That one.
Pay that man. You hear me?
Right.
Y'all out here. Y'all doing music. Pay that man.
So I'm going back to what you said about like Metro Boomin and all those. Like, a good tagline is so important, because the only reason that I know them is because of those taglines.
That's crazy.
So like, that's crazy. Okay, cool.
For sure, man. You gotta have a tag. Yes. Like, I just had my niece and nephews do one of my tags. Like, I ain't gonna lie, it's probably gonna be that for a while.
Oh my gosh, my son's father is always having them in the studio trying to like do the tag.
Really? Yeah.
I'm like, you better pay my baby.
Stuff like that comes out the best. I mean, you like, when it's a little kid or something, hey, come do this right quick.
When gigs merge, everlasting passion when I give words. Gig merge.
So do you feel like your opinion about what an artist does with your beat matters? Like, if you don't like the direction that they're going in?
I think definitely it comes back to that dynamic of, are they paying you to produce for them, or are you paying them to come in? Okay. Not necessarily it's always about the money, but you know, if you're working for someone, you're trying to give them their vision. And if you're bringing people in, the way I like to do it is I like to bring people in and collaborate with them. So I like to get their ideas and their feedback, because again, that collaboration is very important. But if I'm bringing people in, I've got a strict agenda of this is exactly what I want it to sound like.
When I put music out, sometimes when I put it out, my mind thinks in every beat that I make, I want to put all this melodic stuff. I want people to really hear beats. Like I put all these different chords, and then it's so much, it's still kind of good, but it's too much, right? And so I send each beat I make to maybe like 4 or 5 friends, and I let them listen to it, because every time I always get them in the back of my head, keep stuff simple, because what I got to keep saying to myself. So then anytime I make a beat that's banging, but then it's like simple, they like, yeah, this it. I'm like, I got like 3 instruments.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Like, what?
Like, just to even add on to that, in today's sound, simplicity
it's the best
is it.
Oh, for sure.
That's it.
Especially,
it's it. Like 4 or 5 sounds and like a hard melody loop. That's all you need.
Yeah. Coming from an EDM side, I definitely see that a lot.
And you got all that stuff.
We got
sounds. That's crazy.
The whole thing is it's all founded on complexity and different elements and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, the mistake that I see with new producers is that they're constantly adding, 200 audio tracks. You guys know about that. 200 audio tracks to their song, and then you can't even hear half of them on their own.
Yeah.
And then when you throw in all those other tracks, it's just creating mud, and then you can't hear anything clearly at all. So back to that simplicity for producers and artists and everybody. Narrowing it down to get your main sounds in a track and then highlight them. That's the biggest part of it.
No lie. Like the most sounds I probably ever used on making a beat was probably like 15 sounds. But other than that, I usually try to keep it to like 6 to like 8 sounds max.
Do you feel like it's important to learn how to play an instrument as a producer?
Yeah.
I would say that's helped me a ton.
Wow.
Played music from ear, and since I was 7 or 8 years old, but all the producing stuff, all the harmony, the keys, everything just came naturally, and it makes it so much easier. I don't think you have to, but I think it makes it easier.
All right, so I'm kind of conflicted on this, right? So for me, I started out playing drums here in the city of Dayton in drill team. Shout out to the Gym City. And then I went on and got a music degree from Bethune-Cookman. Shout out to HBCUs. But after that, I went to intern, like I was telling them. And so I worked in some major recording studios in Atlanta. One thing that I come to find out is some of the top producers, and I mean, there's some top producers who do, there are more that does have experience with instruments versus some that don't. But more than likely, it's all about loops, because today you don't even necessarily have to learn how to play an instrument. Do I think it's helpful? Yeah, and I sit there like, I got all student loans and all this stuff that I did, and it's like, you don't even need it. Not to make it big, all you gotta do is know how to put loops together and make it sound good. So how important it is, that's like changing. But I'll still forever think it's important to be a musician just at heart, because you never know what type of artist that you're gonna do, and it limits you too. So that's one thing that I would say.
I probably should have added that on, but I think it's a good bonus, but you definitely don't have to have it.
Yeah, like not today.
It's not like a requirement like back how it used to be, but versus now, like I can play the piano pretty well versus extremely well. It's a lot of my friends, they're good. I can play the drums kind of good, but on a keyboard, I feel like I'm like Yoda or something, man. Like I'm unstoppable. Like, it doesn't really matter if you actually know how to use it hands-on versus digitally now. Because it's a little more fair versus it was back then.
I do think that it is helpful too, because like if you have something that's going on in your head, if you can just pick up a piano or a guitar, just something to start you off and get that idea, I think that's super helpful. But I get what you're saying. Like
Fruity Loops changed the game.
It really did, man.
It changed the game.
And just what you said there though about getting your idea onto the paper, I think that's probably the biggest benefit of really talented musicians, and the biggest challenge among everyone is you need to get that idea as quickly and as clearly as possible into your software or your paper or whatever. with no judgment. I think that's another big thing is judging your art.
Sometimes I'll even beatbox a little melody out.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
How many voice memos do y'all have of like going through? Like,
I seen that what Timbaland did it, and I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I actually did a beat doing it after I seen Timbaland doing it, but I know that stuff like he known for it because that's like a huge inspiration for me as well.
Yeah.
But like even collaboration is important, like in music and even on the production side. Like even as people who want to be like, well, I made the beat. If you look at some of the top songs ever that charted the best,
all different artists.
Yeah, there'll be a few different artists. There'll be a few different producers. So while I'll say it's good to be a musician on the standpoint that you can go in there and play, that still should not make you closed-minded to the fact of not allowing other people to input. That's just like, it's crazy because even some of the biggest songs, all somebody did was just lay a hi-hat down, but they got a credit. So if that's somebody who you coming up with, now they eating too, just as much as you are. Even though all they maybe did was just put a hi-hat in there, but maybe that hi-hat is what made it pop. As simple as it is.
Right.
So collaboration on top of that is what it is now.
Dude, it's that dynamic of, I feel like it's changed a lot of, it's become more competition than collaboration. I think we are losing that collaboration and we need to get back to that, and I think
that's because
super important.
A lot of rappers feel like rapping is a sport. In some cases it can be. You know? And with that came, okay, hey bro, I need you to make this hard beat towards this dude, and that person listening to it and be like, hey bro, I need you to make a harder beat than this dude. You see what I'm saying? And that right there causes a conflict and competition.
Who are some producers that really inspire you guys?
Go for it.
Mine, off the top of my head, Timbaland, Scott Storch. Scott Storch is a monster.
He's a monster on drugs and awful.
Right, so I think those two for me.
I love sampling music, so like two people that I would like to compare myself with would be Kanye West and
I was gonna say, you can say his name. Jay Dilla, man, those are the goats.
Yeah.
Man. Jay Dilla was like one of the first people I actually started like writing my music to.
All right, what about you, Devin?
Well, I'm more of the EDM electronic side, obviously. So, if you guys know Skrillex, Avicii was the one who really got me into producing that emotional music. Rest in peace, Tim. But those are my two top EDM inspirations, and then Mac Miller as well in the hip hop side. His music kind of came to me in a really necessary time in my life.
If you could like talk about some projects that you guys are working on, let the people know how they can find you.
So I got a few individual projects coming up. My personal project is called Vibes Don't Lie. I plan on dropping sometime soon,
like that.
Next couple months. I got another project, collab projects with my brothers, my brother Baps and my brother Mac V, dropping soon. So be on the lookout for that. It's gonna be on all major platforms.
Okay.
All right, so I'm thinking about dropping a beat tape, so that might be coming in the near months as well. So just look out for the beat tape. And right now, just doing other things with other artists.
I'm working on my first EP, so that should be coming out on Spotify by this time at least. Not sure what the name's gonna be, but it will be under Devin Karter with a K. So definitely check that out. And then if you guys are into EDM, a lot of stuff on SoundCloud, a lot of dubstep mixes and crazy stuff like that. So.
All right, perfect. Thank you guys.
Gig merge, when gigs merge, everlasting passion when I give words. Gig merge, when gigs merge, acrobatic, crafty when I flip words. Gig merge.
Y'all ready to have this real conversation? Tell me about your biggest pet peeve when it comes to working with an artist or producer.
They always feel like they're right.
Have y'all ever been in a space where you felt like you weren't respected?
Telling an artist like, this is how you should approach the beat. And it's, nah, I ain't doing that.
What's the moment when you know like this is not working?
Producers, just lower y'all prices, man.
How do you guys cut those relationships? Is it a conversation or are y'all ghosters?
The music industry is like a revolving door. Like people come and go.
Do you feel like creating the relationship and becoming friends with the artist or producer is important, or
Producers be shady sometimes, giving people the same beat.
y'all got quiet?
Open mic, hey, gig merch, when gig merch,